In our Hot Hollywood report this morning, when the going gets tough, sometimes all you need is a little faith. In a new inspirational true story, Woodlawn, you're going to see how love and unity can overcome hate and division. And joining us now is actor Sean Astin. He plays Hank in the film. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Sean.
So let's talk about this movie here. I mean, it's a football movie, so you got to love it first. Of course, Rudy was a classic. Tell us about Woodlawn and the story that's being told.
Yeah, I mean, you really nailed it with your introduction. From the football piece of it, you have Bear Bryant, played by John Voight, who is the head of, who's the legendary coach of Alabama, and he's looking down into the football, the kind of emerging scene at this particular high school, and his thing is like, you know what, it's time for black kids to be able to play football, you know, be able to play in the college level, and that was new in the early 70s. And then Tony Nathan, the NFL legend who played for the Dolphins, he came out of this school, Woodlawn, that's being depicted, and it was, you know, he didn't ask to be a civil rights leader, he didn't ask to be a Christian missionary, he just trying to figure out how to live his life. But he happened to exist in a moment in time when desegregation was happening. It was awkward and clumsy. People had all this racial antagonism, were thrust together. They didn't want to be in school together. Yeah. And there was this evangelical movement kind of sweeping the country with the so-called Jesus freak movement, where, you know, Billy Graham was filling up the Cotton Bowl, and you know, there was you know, on the cover of Time magazine and Life magazine, these pictures of Christ kind of in tie-dye, and so it was kind of a hip scene for Christians at that point. And this guy, this chaplain who I get to play, comes into the school. He just feels called by God to like go to this public school where there's not really supposed to be religious activity on the campus, on the school grounds, but they're kind of out of ammo on how to deal with this stuff. And he goes in and this true story, he basically helps the entire team convert. Wow. And it's a story about this kind of how this team sort of becomes a faith team and how that affects their families in the school. There's a lot of pushback from the secular community, and then how it affects the crosstown rivals of the city and ultimately the state. And it's a you know, the filmmakers are telling the story because their dad is the chaplain, and they wanted to honor him and honor the stories that he told them when they were growing up. And so this is just a little slice of Christian American life in, you know, the civil rights South. No question. It's certainly a very powerful story. By the way, we're looking at footage. You rock the pork chops very well. They always want to grow. I usually keep them at bay, but they just had to be. I'll tell you what, when I put on that 70s jacket and I had a full beard, like I didn't know what we wanted to do, and I shave it and the chops are there, and you're like, oh man, that, you know. Because then they showed me pictures of Hank, and I look at me and I look at pictures of Hank, and you're like, wow, that is really close. No kidding, wow. So you know, 2 more movies with these pork chops and they can get their SAG card. That'd be big. That's awesome. Before we go, we were talking about Rudy at the top. The crowd was going wild for you with those chants at your first Ironman triathlon. How did that go, and why the heck did you do that? I was I run marathons, and I actually did the Rock and Roll Las Vegas Marathon in November of last year. And I was invited by the Ironman company to come be an ambassador. They gave $25,000 to my charity. Nice. And I raced the Ironman Championship in Kona this Saturday, and it was a magical day. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but the most fun. And my wife and 2 of my 3 daughters were there at the finish line, and it was very moving. And you know, it was people all along the route were chanting, you know, Goonies words, you know, hey, you guys, you know, that kind of thing. And, you know, Rudy, they do that, the whole thing. Great. One guy jumped out. He actually was dressed as a hobbit from Lord of the Rings. And, so, you know, it was good. It was a beautiful thing. That's pretty cool, man. Well, congratulations on completing it. If I had done it this past Saturday, I'd still be in the ICU right about now. And congratulations on Woodlawn. It's great having you, buddy. Thank you so much. All right, Woodlawn's in theaters now. You can check a preview of it. Head to that website, woodlawnmovie.com. Down.